Hey guys, welcome back to this channel. Today we have a very special guest. I'm sure many of you know who she is. She's beautiful. She's amazing. Plant-based Nicole R'Shae, and we're going to hear her story, how going plant-based has changed her life. And also, she recently just completed 30 days fully raw vegan. So this really caught my eye. She has an amazing Instagram, amazing social media, and I just had to bring her on. So let's get into it. How's it going, Nicole?
It's going well. Thank you for the intro. Oh, it's Nicole R'Shae.
Oh,
That
R'Shae, sorry. Why do I always think it's the other way? Sorry, my bad. Well, I think
was
you're
cute.
Yeah, well, thanks. I think you're amazing. Thanks for coming on. I want to talk about the raw in a minute, but first, maybe let's start with how plant-based has changed your life because I don't know your journey, your story. I want to hear with everybody.
Yeah, I've been eating plant-based for 13 years. I originally started back 13 years ago because of a very bad injury I had that flared up really bad, chronic pain, just miserable all the time. I had three things going on. I had tendonitis in my wrist, myofascial, I can't even pronounce these things,
Yeah.
myofascial pain syndrome, and cervical strain. AKA, I just had pain from like hands,
Mm.
wrist, all the way up to my neck, shoulders, and it would go into my face, but the face didn't feel like pain. It was more like a sensation, like it was going to go numb, and it was just very uncomfortable. It didn't all feel horrible at once. Maybe like sometimes it might have just been the wrist, maybe the wrist and the forearms, maybe just this side, maybe just, you know what I mean? So it wasn't all
Mhm.
at once, but it was just, those were all the areas I had it. And it was from an injury I had got in the early 2000s. So it flared up really badly in whatever 13 years ago was. I can't even calculate the year. But
Yeah.
and I was just like, oh my God, I can't take this anymore. I'm just sad all the time because I'm hurting. I'm just miserable. My friend and I were talking one day after class. I was getting my master's at the time. And we were just talking about how eliminating animal products can help your body heal itself. I was like, say less. Next day, I was plant based, fully plant based. I did not transition. I did not pray about it, work my way into it. I just cold turkey overnight. I was plant based the next day because I was desperate at that point. I'm always willing to do anything if it's going to result in a healing, right? So, yeah, the next day I went over, and the first month I was really super clean with my eating because I'm new to it. So all you know about plant-based is that you're just eating plant-based. then
Mhm.
then I started getting introduced to, like, certain things like just vegan junk food over the years. And but anyway, so that's how I got into it. And
Wow.
I would say 13 years plant-based, but the last maybe 4 years I've been primarily high raw. There's certain times where my body starts wanting more cooked foods than normal, and I just listen to my body and give it that. But I always go back to high raw because it's the perfect balance for me.
Yeah.
And recently, like you said, recently I just did the 30 days raw, which I do every now and then. Like last year I did 44 days raw in January 2023. So I do it every now and then just because I listen to my body. So
Yeah.
my body's like, hey, I just want all raw, then I just give it all raw. Sometimes it's just like once in the middle,
Yeah.
raw and cooked. You know what I mean? So yeah, I love eating this way. People say never, but I really can't see myself ever going back to meat. Even though sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, sometimes it smells good. Like if not, if it's uncooked or if it's being
Oh,
cooked, it makes
yeah.
me sick. It makes me
Yeah.
nauseous. But like if somebody sits down and eats, like my husband, for instance, eats like some chicken next to me or something, I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, that smells good. Like, but I wouldn't try it because
So
I don't
he's
know.
not vegan. I was gonna ask you. So he's not plant-based. Okay, yeah, my husband either. So this is
Yeah,
such an interesting topic to me. How have you guys made that work? And somebody left a comment. I put it in my story. I don't know if you looked at it or you saw it the other day, but somebody left a comment on my channel the other day, basically, oh my God, Gillian, I can't believe you're married to a non-vegan. This is so unethical. You shouldn't even be associating with non-vegans. I'm like, what am I gonna cut off my parents too? Like, so
right, right.
what are your thoughts on that? And how have you guys made it work?
I would be single if I had that mindset
Yeah.
because where I live, I don't meet. I mean, I'm not saying there aren't any people who eat this way in my area, but the people I know and come in contact with aren't down with the plant-based lifestyle. So I would literally be single. I wouldn't be married. So I'm like, do I love that he eats that meat and stuff? No, but I mean, it's like I don't judge people who
Mhm.
eat meat. Okay. It's like, do you, if that's what you like to do. And then for me, what makes me feel good, this is the way I'm going to eat. So I'm not like that. Otherwise I would like literally be alone. I wouldn't have friends. I would have to disassociate my family. You know what I mean? It's not
Me
that
too. Yeah.
right. You know what I mean? I'm not like that. And I'm like, to each his own. You do what's going to make you feel good. And me and him make it work though. Like thankfully he's very open. He does eat a lot of vegan food and he only really eats meat on the weekends, to be honest. He like eats plant-based throughout the week and then eats meat on the weekends. He goes in on the weekends. But like, I don't cook a lot, but when I do cook, I cook vegan meals and he'll eat it. And then sometimes he'll make me vegan meals. We just kind of like make it work. And we don't always eat the same every day. Like sometimes, well, yesterday I did make this bean marinara dish. We both ate it. But sometimes I don't want to eat a lot of cooked food. So sometimes I might cook him something, but then I might eat a salad or an ice cream or something. But
Yeah.
we just make it work. We've been together almost 7 years, I think, married
Yeah.
5.5. And we've made it work. Like he likes to cook, so he likes to make, vegan stuff. And
And he
yeah,
probably
we
eats way more plants because of you, right? That's like in my house when my husband's not traveling, he eats plant-based when he's home with me. He loves the salads I make, loves the smoothies. He genuinely loves everything. And he's like, I know this is the way, but he's not vegan when he travels for work and stuff.
yeah.
And like if it wasn't for me, I don't think he wouldn't be eating all those plants, right? So I'm sure you have like such a positive impact in your husband's eating habits too, and he's eating all those plants because of you. So that's great. And he's not eating meat every day, right? Which a lot of
No.
people do. So that's amazing, you know?
Yeah. It's perfect. And I'm so glad he's the way he is because I've dated people before I got with him that were like, you don't eat meat? Oh, I have to have meat. And I'm like, well, you're gonna be cooking it yourself because I'm not gonna do it.
And I think bottom line, it's important that the person, even though he's not vegan, like he's supportive of you and your journey, right? My husband's supportive.
Yeah.
If he wasn't and he was like, this diet's stupid, what are you doing? Like, if it was like that, then there might be a different situation going on with the relationship. But if they're supportive too, and I think it's good.
Yes, it
And
makes a difference. It makes a
yeah.
difference.
And maybe we'll
Oh,
talk
and
about,
oh, I wanted to say one before you say that. When he does want meat, he makes it himself.
that's good. Yeah.
Yeah, and most of the
Good.
time he'll do it outside on our patio and the grill because the cooking smell of meat kind of makes me ugh.
Yeah, when it's in your house too, and you don't I get it. And
Yeah.
okay, so I want to get to the raw in a minute, but just like closing in on the plant-based journey, what are maybe some of the biggest things you've learned? Because you've been doing it a long time. Like 13 years is longer than most people I interview and most people I know. So, what are maybe some of the things you learned or some of the do's and don'ts or anything you want to share about your experience being plant-based before we get into the raw?
I would say like I learned over the time. I feel like I've always been obsessed with wanting to lose weight. But for me, like it was all I mean, I went plant-based for healing purposes, but once, I got better after a month ago after a month of eating that way, it was just like my mindset was always just making sure I'm not eating too much but eating whatever as long as I'm not eating too much. As opposed to now, my mindset is more like making sure I'm eating whole food plant-based primarily, as opposed to, oh, let me just make sure I only eat like 1,800 calories, but that could be a freaking canned soup that's
Hmm.
like loaded with,
Yeah.
sodium and processed, or I can eat, 8 cookies, just as long
Yeah.
as it's plant-based. But I mean, I don't know. I just like my mindset now is like eat to live and eat foods that are going to make me feel good and like focusing on whole foods. And I just learned that over time. It's not just about, oh, just making sure I don't eat too much. It doesn't matter what it is. Now it's like, no, it needs to be primarily whole food, plant-based, because that's what's going to make you thrive. That's what's going to make you feel good. So my like I like to tell people, if you decide to go plant-based, do what you need to do to transition. But my feedback is always focus on whole foods. Focus on things that are born the way they are. When you buy it and look at it, there's no ingredient package listed. It's just what it is. A potato, vegetables, brown rice, whatever. Just focus on whole foods. Let the processed stuff be a very small amount that you eat. People want to go vegan and they want to just go straight to the tofu turkeys. What do you call them? Tofu? I
I
don't
don't know.
know. The Beyond Burgers,
Hmm.
all the processed fake meat stuff. And yeah, that's okay. If that's what you need to do the transition, I'm not gonna knock you. But don't let that be like a staple of what you eat all the time. Like try to focus on whole foods. Because processed junk, you might as well just stay eating the way you were gonna eat
True.
before.
I agree. And it's a big difference in how you feel, right? Eating whole food,
Yeah,
plant-based, and I think that's
totally.
literally the best advice you could give. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I do want to say I am not 100% clean all the time. I
Yeah.
say I'm like I was at 80. Now I done moved up to a 90%. I say I eat like 90% whole food plant-based. And then every 10% now that my 30-day raw is over, now that I'm back to my normal, I 10% every now and then have a little, processed junk food stuff, but 90% is definitely my whole foods because that's just what makes me feel good.
Yeah, and that's real, that's relatable too, being at, like, the
Yeah.
90% around there. You know, that's more realistic for people.
Yeah.
Most people are like, "I can't be fully this or fully raw for, like, 100% of the time." And I have to
Yeah.
say, like, you're almost 50, right? You look great.
Thank you. I can't believe when you say that number, like it just
Right? I know, because 'cause
it's
I'm
like
41, and when you're young, when you're little or, like, younger, you think like a teenager or younger, you think like 40 or 50, you think like, "Oh my gosh," but now that we're
that
this
sounds
age,
so
like,
old.
you don't feel like it, right? Like, I don't feel it. I
No, I
feel like a little
don't.
kid. Yeah.
I don't feel it. And I'm just like, that's why when I say the number and when you just said it, it just like it like wakes me up again. Like, what? I'm gonna be 50 in November? That's crazy. Wait,
You're
let's take a
funny.
moment. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Like every time, like I don't know. I just been tripping lately. Like it's getting more like realistic. Like what? No, I'm still 32
Yeah, and do you
in
think you
my
would
heart.
still look this good if you weren't so health conscious over the last 13 years?
Probably not because the way I used to eat before I went plant-based was just horrendous.
Was it? Like, what? Take us through a day. What was a typical
Just
day?
like, just going to fast now the typical day, I can't remember. I just know what I ate. Like lots of canned foods because it was convenient, which is just totally horrible.
Mhm,
Lots of fast food, because it was convenient. It was easy. Let's go to McDonald's real quick. Let's go to Jack in the Box. Let's go to Taco Bell. Now I'm just
mhm.
cringing thinking about it. Like literally all the time, I was eating all this fast food. And I'm like, what in the world? When I think back, I'm just like, that's disgusting. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, because I grew up in a strict home, my mother was although we ate meat and chicken and stuff like that, but we didn't eat a lot of junk food. So when I moved out and was on my own, I went crazy
Hmm.
because I didn't have that growing up. So I just went crazy with just candy all the time, just junk food all the time, sweets all the time, fast food all the time. Like my diet sucked. And my mindset was just always like, oh, as long as I eat, even before I went plant-based, as long as I eat only like 1,750 calories, it's okay. No matter what I eat, I'll still lose weight. I wasn't caring about the health. And it was just more about, I don't want to get fat. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And then I carried that mindset still when I went plant-based, which is whenever I was telling you where I was just like not focused on whole foods, but just like, oh, as long as I'm eating it, as long as it's vegan, as long as it's plant-based. But yeah, my diet, oh my goodness. No, I would not be this fabulous
Yeah,
if I
I
still
love it. And if somebody was like, "Well, Nicole, I wanna do this too. I wanna do, like, plant-based or like raw, more raw, high raw plant-based, but it's just so freaking expensive." Like, that's what I hear from a lot. Has that been your experience, or do you have any advice for people how you've made that work, or if that's a thing for you? You know, because some people just say, "Oh, the foods are just too expensive," you know?
are those medical bills and those
Mhm.
prescriptions expensive? You know what I mean? I'm saying like this, invest in your health. Okay. You can also be particular about what you buy if you have a budget and stuff like that. But I find when I'm in my mostly cooked phases, my bill is cheaper. When I'm doing more high raw, especially fully raw, my bill is a little higher. But I'm okay with that because I'm all about investing in my health.
Mhm.
Do you guys have problems when you want to buy those what do you call them, brand name purses and jeans and things? Do you guys question that?
Mhm.
No, you don't. You know what I'm saying? Like, so why question what you put in your body that's gonna help you thrive and help you be healthier? Like, don't be so quick to go to Starbucks spending all this money. you don't question all these things you're putting your money in, but it only comes to when you're questioning. People only question when it gets to the health for some reason.
True, you're right,
You
They'll
know
go to
what
the
I'm saying?
club or go here and there, and then they're like, "Well, the raw food or the healthy food is just
Yeah.
too much," but
So
yeah,
my thing to that is like how important is your health to you? Invest in your health. You are the most important thing. With that, if you're not healthy, if you're sick and things, you're not going to be good for anybody else. So
true.
take care of your health, and that starts with what you're putting in your body.
Yeah, and it's so
Um,
important what we do now, right? Like, in our 40s and 50s, it's so important, and that's just, like, our habits in these decades is how we're gonna live in our 60s and 70s, right? And
yeah,
beyond. Yeah,
yeah. I wish I would have started earlier. I really do. Like, with the mindset of just like eating to live and eating foods that are healthy for me, that are going to help me just be my best and thrive. And just, I wish, oh man, I wish I could rewind
well,
the,
you're doing pretty good, though. You're doing really good.
but it's never
Uh,
too late to start.
true.
Never too late to start.
That's good advice. That's so true. I love all that. And so the raw, okay, so you just completed 30 days raw. I saw your reels. They're so good.
Thank
And so
you.
take us through what made you decide to do 30 days raw? And then maybe I'll get into the viewers' questions because they have a bunch of questions that are just exactly everything people want to know. So let us know why you got into it and then I'll get into their questions.
Okay, keeping it all real and honest, Miss Berry, Mrs.
Yeah.
Berry. You actually okay, so normally my body just calls for it when it's time to eat all raw. My body is just screaming and I just do it, right? But in all honesty, I interviewed you what like
Yeah. Yeah.
a month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not long ago, I don't think. Yeah.
When I interviewed you, like now interview a lot of raw vegans and high raw vegans, and but it doesn't make me just want to be like, oh, I'm going to do fully raw. But something I don't know. After our interview, I just felt so inspired. Something made me want to just go raw, so I did. I went raw for the month of April after our interview. I was inspired by you. I don't know, something you were saying in your interview just sparked something in me,
I
and I
love
just got
that.
deep motivation, and so I did it.
Oh, I love now
So
we're here full circle. I love that. That's amazing. Thanks for
yeah.
that. Thanks for the honesty. And okay, so the first question that kind of ties in with this then, what was the first benefit you noticed and how long did it take? I think that's a good question to start with.
So before I answer that, I want to say that I already eat a high raw diet. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I eat like 4 times a day. Okay. And that can be, when I say 4 times, I'm not an 8 course meal or anything, but a meal could be like, a smoothie or an ice cream or a fruit meal or, peanut butter and apples or like when I'm doing high raw, it could be like cabbage and rice. So out of 4 meals a day times seven, that's 28 meals a week. I normally, when I'm in my regular lifestyle, out of 28 meals, I eat just about 5 to 7 cooked meals. So I eat a lot of raw. So I want to say that before I answer this question.
Yeah.
Okay, so some of the benefits though, I already feel good with the way I eat, but I felt even better. So I just felt like, you know what I mean? Like you just want to skip down a field of hay. I felt great. So I
Yeah.
already feel good with my regular diet, but this took it up a notch. So I felt much better. I felt cleansing. I felt cleansed because now I'm very, not to be gross, but I'm very regular already.
Yeah.
Okay. But these bowel movements felt flushing. I don't know how to describe it, but it just felt like it just felt like something was just pulling stuff out of me. It just felt like a cleansing bowel movement, if that
No,
makes
that's
sense.
good. Yeah, that
Yeah.
does make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just feeling so cleansing and like it was just flushing all my troubles and everything out of me it just felt really cleansing. Sometimes they were loose, so that was a little different. But anyway, but it still felt like it was just flushing out. I don't know when, I can't remember, but I had this arm pain that I got, I don't know, last few months or so. So when I was at the gym and I would do certain things like I can't remember what it's called, when you
Mhm.
pull it down like this. And it would hurt to do that. So I had to do it in a strategic way. It would hurt in certain weights I was doing. It was hurting really bad. That went away.
Mhm.
That went away during the 30 days. So
Interesting.
that
Wow,
was
very
good.
interesting. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, because it was hard to work out with a few different exercises, not everything, but a few things that required like a pull with my arm. So that went away because I noticed that like 2 days ago when I worked out, I was like, oh, yay, it's easy to pull down now. It's not like, that feeling. My eyes were, I had this thing going on in this eye, like it was watering for like a few months and I still don't know why, but that stopped.
Wow.
That stopped
Interesting.
during, yeah, it was just like just watering, just, oh, it was annoying. And I had to
Mhm.
literally do this like 20 times. So that stopped. So that's pretty much all the benefits because like I said, I already eat high raw, I already eat pretty much clean. So it wasn't like a drastic amount of benefit, but those things did happen. So I do thank the fully raw for that.
Yeah, and okay, so what were you eating in a day? Because your meals looked pretty good. You do nice food reels. Like, what
Thank
were some of
you.
your favorite meals? Like, what were you eating in a day? And did it feel, like, satisfying, or did it feel like I missed the cooked food, like, this is boring?
I was cool, and then I would say the last week I was starting to like really miss my cooked foods. But I kept it really simple this time around. I think last year I did more experimenting, but this time I did a few things.
Yeah.
But I was like eating breakfast was always like either just a fruit meal or a smoothie. And I would just, have like a now when I did raw, but there was a few exceptions, like my plant-based milk or like nutritional
Yeah.
yeast or
Yeah, I
you know what
mean
I mean, like condiments and things like
yeah.
that. But so I would do like a smoothie with a plant-based milk and bananas is always the base, frozen preferably because it makes it creamier. And then any type of strawberries or blueberries or whatever. So I would do a fruit meal or a smoothie for breakfast. And then lunch would be either a fruit meal or a salad. I
Mhm.
would bring it to work. I would bring like arugula and then I would have all my little toppings in a separate bag. It would be cut up, bell peppers, cucumbers, some edamame, tomatoes, and throw it in there and then bring a dressing that I make. Or if I was lazy, I would just bring a vegan dressing from Trader Joe's that I use sometimes. It's a vegan Caesar dressing.
Mm,
But I
nice.
make a delicious tahini dressing that I love to make. I make that. And then snack would be a fruit, maybe a handful of almonds or
Mhm.
peanut butter or raw almond butter and apples. And
Yeah.
then dinner would be like nice cream. If I had a salad in the day, it would be like something fresh at night, like smoothie or nice cream. If I had fruit for lunch, then nighttime would be something savory, a
Yeah.
salad. So that's what I was pretty much eating. I did experiment with a few things. I made some collard wraps,
Mhm.
and then I made some jicama wraps because they have these jicama wraps at Trader Joe's. They're like little wraps, and they're jicama, and they're so crunchy and refreshing when you eat it. You just feel like you want to just do a backflip.
Yeah, I gotta try
And
those. I've heard they're really good. Yeah.
yeah, they're refreshing. I mean, if you ate it by itself, it tastes like air. But once you put
Yeah.
your, your veggies and your sauce or whatever, your guacamole or whatever you put in it, it's really good. I made these zoodles, a zucchini pasta dish. That was fun because I have a little spiralizer,
Yeah.
and then I put like some pesto and green olives and tomatoes and you know what I mean? So that's pretty much what I was eating. But the three little things I mentioned, those were like specialties, I call them. But other than that, I was
Yeah.
just, salad, smoothies, nice cream, and fruit. I
Yeah,
was really
sounds like a
basic.
good menu. It all sounds so good. And okay, somebody said, how did you overcome temptation or cravings? I know that's a good thing for like somebody who wants to
Oh
stay on track.
man, I was cool in the beginning, but then afterwards I was just like, oh, and I was like, no, can't quit because I went public with this. I have to finish it out. Can I be honest about one craving I did not? It wasn't a craving. I was just really hungry and I was going to like a job fair for my job.
Mhm.
And this was like 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago. And I was like, I brought my watermelon with me, but for some reason that the thought of it just wasn't, it just felt like it wasn't going to be enough. I needed
Mhm.
something like a little bit heavier, right? So my behind, I was on the road, I went to Wendy's and I got some of their French fries. I was so nauseous within like 6 minutes after
I know
eating them.
it's crazy, like, to think, like, you wanna create you want these things, you crave them, I get it, and then you're like, what an impact it has on the body, right?
It wasn't even I was craving, it was just like I needed something heavy at that moment.
Yeah.
Like because I was going to be, and then I had to turn back around. I was about to get on the freeway. I turned back around and I went home. I had to go home. I didn't want to go back to the office. I just went home and I had to use the bathroom. It was kind of like diarrhea-ish. Sorry,
Yeah.
but
No,
it
it's
was just,
okay.
and then I felt so nauseous and I had to drink some ginger tea, had to take some deep breaths. And I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. Why did I just break my raw, journey? I was doing well. And then I ate that. Not only did I eat something cooked, but it was just grease.
Mhm.
And it was just like, I just felt disgusted and I got sick. But yeah, other than that, like I was just reminding myself that I went public with this, so I need to continue and I can't give up. And that's what helped me kind of overcome and
And you did
not
a great
give
job.
in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you did a
thank
great job,
you.
and things happen, right? It's real. Things happen. I think it's important if we have those slip ups, like we don't beat ourselves up and hang on, just like let it go. It's whatever, you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was I felt so sick.
Yeah. Crazy. I believe it. I get it. And somebody said, did you have more or less energy? Did you notice a difference in energy being like plant-based versus being on all the raw? N-
No, because
Wow.
I feel like I'm already maxed out on my energy.
Yeah, true. You
Honestly,
are.
like
You are.
I'm very, even before I went plant-based, I always had great energy. I think it increased a little bit once going plant-based,
Mhm.
but I've always had great energy. And when I went raw this time, or every time I go raw, I don't really feel a difference because I feel like I'm already at the max.
Mhm. Yeah, you have good energy. You were vibing high with the energy. I would agree with that. And somebody said, how does her mind and body feel after eating just raw for 3 days? Maybe they meant to say 30 though, I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feels great. I feel great. Like I said, even though I eat high raw, I do still eat those cooked foods. So once you take those cooked foods out, it's just like something about, I don't know. I feel lighter, even though I still feel heavy just because I'm, bigger than I used to be, gained weight last year and well, I gained weight a long time ago. Anyway, the point is I feel heavy in that aspect just because I'm heavier than I used to be. But I feel lighter just because the foods make you just feel light. They make you
Yeah,
feel like you want to swing on a tree.
they
You
do.
know what I
They
mean?
do. Yeah.
My mind feels clear and just refreshed and clean. It was like a
Mhm.
good reset for me.
Good. Yeah, I think that's great for a reset or a cleanse or like, it doesn't have to be like permanent if people don't want it to be?
Yeah.
And what were your biggest mistakes you've learned from? Do you have any mistakes that you feel like other than the Wendy's fries?
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say, well, that I was like, that just taught me a lesson. Oh my gosh. Just the thing I mentioned about in the well, as far as the raw, I don't really feel like any mistakes besides the whole food the Wendy's French fries, just
Mhm.
turning to that just because I needed something heavier to eat and it resulted in me being sick. It wasn't worth it. That was the mistake I had. But I don't really feel any other mistakes during the 30 days raw. In my plant-based life, the way my mindset used to be, was just eat as long as it's vegan.
Mhm.
That was a mistake. Because now
Mhm.
I learned, like I said, now I learned eating to live is what you need to focus on. Eating whole foods, things that are born the way they are. Again, I do have processed things sometimes, but I would say like 10%, maybe 5 to 10, because when you're eating that way, it's not going to make you feel your best if you're eating like that all the time. So
Yeah.
those mistakes were in the past, but thankfully I have learned, over time.
Yeah.
Takes time sometimes. Yeah.
It does. I get it does. And somebody said, what were your challenges on being raw?
I have some back fat I need to lose. And eating raw for me, because I've been in this game a while,
Mhm.
it's my experience is going to be different from someone who's coming from either a junk food vegan diet or an animal diet. Their experience is going to be so different. They're going to drop weight like that
Mhm.
because it's a big drastic amount of food that they're eating from what they were eating. But me, I already eat a certain way, a certain amount of food, right? So it didn't really change. Matter of fact, sometimes I was eating a little bit more because sometimes it takes a little bit for me, Nicole. It takes more for me to feel satiated because I have a big appetite and it's so annoying. So it was challenging because I am trying to lose some fat,
Mhm.
but I just stayed the same because of my appetite. Because, so it was challenging because it's like, it's just hard for me to lose the fat if my hunger is the way it is. And
Mhm.
again, That's not going to be everyone else's experience. It's me, because I've already been eating a certain way, right? High raw. I eat a certain amount to feel satiated. And then when I started eating raw, sometimes it may take a little bit more for me to feel satiated, which
Mhm.
means I'm eating a little bit more. So that was a challenge. It's just like, oh, I'm still the same. But it's not really a challenge. It's just, I don't know, it's a personal thing just because of, I am trying to lose some back fat and stuff. But
Yeah. I think you look
um
good, but yeah, it's what matters to you though, you know?
yeah, thank you
Yeah.
so much. But other than that, I didn't really have any challenge other than just, at the end wanting cooked foods again. I started being like, oh, I'm over it. I want some potatoes. I want some beans and rice. But I
Yeah.
pushed through, I endured because I wanted to finish it and feel like I completed something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally, yeah, and that builds confidence, I feel like, you know? More dis when you're
Yeah.
disciplined like that, I like the,
Yeah.
like, confidence and, like, discipline
Mhm.
that has. And a couple people are asking how you stayed committed or, like, when you hit a moment of being challenging, what did you do to cope? Because I mean, even though you had the Wendy's fries, that was once. Like, that was just, like, an
Yeah.
hour. That was, like, a half hour in your whole journey of the 30 days. So, like, other
Yeah.
than that, I'm sure you had a lot of moments where you did stay committed because you completed the task. So how did you stay committed? What can people do when they reach those challenging moments?
I used to always hate when people say this, but remember your why. No, I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. For me, I didn't have a why as to why I went 30 days raw. I was just inspired by you. That's why I did it. But
Yeah.
some people go raw because they have a why. Sometimes it might be to lose fat. Sometimes it might be to heal something.
Mhm.
Whatever it is, you have to remember why you decided to do it in the first place, and
Mhm.
know that if you revert from that, you're not going to accomplish that why. So focus on that why. I used to hate when people say that, but now I'm saying it. It's true though. It's like, for instance, if you're trying to heal something, you're desperate to heal it. And you
True.
know that eating raw foods is going to help allow your body to heal itself. When you start feeling like you want to revert from that, remember that. Okay,
Yeah.
I know that this is going to help me. So I need to stick to this. You know what I mean? Like, what's
Mhm.
important to you? And
Mhm.
remember, it's only a certain amount of days. You guys, like, if you're trying to do it for 30 days or whatever, unless you're trying to do it for life. But I have something to say about that too. But if you're just doing it like 30, 60, just be like, it's only 30, 60 days of your life.
Mhm.
You'll be able
Exactly.
to go back to your cooked foods after and you'll be okay.
Mhm.
Now, let's go back to if you're trying to do it for a long term. Sometimes going cold turkey might not work for you. You might need to transition, and that's okay because there's no timetable, there's no contract, it's only for you. So if you have a desire to be a long-term raw plant-based eater and you can't do it overnight and you feel like you keep dabbling in other things, don't try to go cold turkey.
Mhm.
Lead your way up to it. Start off with, I'm gonna do one raw meal a day for 6 weeks. Get used to that one raw meal. After 6 weeks, go to a second raw meal. After another 6 weeks of that, go to a third. Like, transition, work your way up so that it's not so drastic.
Mhm.
Because then people start feeling like they're failing because, oh, I ate the cooked foods but I really want to. You're not failing. You just made a choice to eat cooked foods. But if
Mhm.
that's not what you want to do, then don't try to do cold turkey. Go, lean up to it, work your way, baby steps. You got to crawl before you walk. But yeah, I feel like I
True.
went all around the
No,
question.
that's good. No, that was good. And how did you
Okay.
originally hear about raw foods? Like, when you first started, like, going high raw, like, was there anyone or a book or, like, anything that, like, really inspired you when you first found it?
Yes, let's see. I think when I started like following Lissa from
Mhm.
Raw Food Romance back in the day, back then I only knew about like Lissa and Ted Carr and
Mhm.
versus certain people I knew. I was watching videos all the time and I would always love the raw food lifestyle. I thought it was so intriguing. And, I would just really get it. And then I started interviewing like around COVID time. And that's when I started like getting motivated to start eating more high raw. Like, I was eating plant-based, but I was eating a lot of cooked foods. And then, after doing all those interviews and getting inspired from so many people, I was just like, that's when I kind of started wanting to eat more raw. I knew that eating fully raw is not for me long term forever, but I know that I can incorporate a lot of raw and that works for me. It's a good balance. But that's kind of around the time
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to, there's so many other people I used to watch back then, but that's
Mm-hmm.
when I kind of started getting introduced to it.
Yeah, nice, amazing. And have you done any cleanses in your health journey or no? Like, do you do any water fasting or juice cleansing or fruit cleansing? Have you done any of that or no?
I do fruit, but I don't do long enough to be a cleanse. I think that the longest I've done with all fruit was just 5 days. I haven't
Mm-hmm.
done any juicing or water. Those are some goals of mine. I have to crawl before I walk with that. I'm
Yeah,
scared.
yeah.
But yeah, like for me, the eating raw, when I eat fully raw and I'm eliminating that 10% junk food I eat sometimes, and I'm eliminating the potatoes and the beans and all that, like to me, my body feels like it's cleansing
Mm-hmm.
because it's different from my regular diet. You know what I mean? A little
Yeah,
different.
yeah.
It feels clean to me, but it's probably not the fullest cleanse that one can have, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Probably have to do
Good
all
no.
fruit for at least 30 days or so.
Yeah. And I was gonna ask you, do you supplement? Have you supplemented on your journey or no? Do you take any supplements?
Mhm,
I can't remember. I think I asked you that
mhm.
when you interviewed me, but which ones do
Yeah.
you take?
I take like 3 times a week, only like 3 times a week. I take a let's see, Rainbow Light is the
Mm-hmm.
brand, and I take it for the vitamin D, but it also has
Oh,
calcium and magnesium in it. So it's like 3 in 1. So
yeah.
I take that, but I can't swallow it. I have to put it in a smoothie. I take that one. It's only 3 times a day. I also take a multivitamin. It's a
Mm-hmm.
raw, oh, and the one I just mentioned is a food based.
Cool.
So
Yeah.
I don't like the ones with all the fillers in them. I like that it's a food-based supplement. Then I also take a multivitamin. It's raw and it's food-based. So it's called Vitamin Code Raw for Women. So it's a multivitamin. So it has all the different, I take that one 3 times a week. And then I have an iron that's called ferrous gluconate.
Mm-hmm.
So I take those about 3 times a week. And that's pretty much it. Sometimes I'll do like a protein smoothie if you want to count that as a supplement
Yeah.
or I have a raw vegan protein powder as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like those. And
But
your
I don't
health
like
has
taking them every day.
yeah. And your health has been good though all these years? Like
Mhm. A
amazing.
long time ago, how many years? I don't know, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I was what do you call it? Vitamin D. When I took my blood work, the vitamin D was low. And
Mm-hmm.
then once I started taking that supplement, just 3 times a week, I reversed it. I
Oh,
reversed
good.
that.
Good. Because yeah, that's
Yeah, but
important
other than
too.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm good on my vitamin and my minerals.
Good.
I like to get them checked, at least once a year
Mm-hmm.
because I think it's important whether you eat meat or not, whether you eat plant-based or meat, you should
Mm-hmm.
still get your blood work
I
no
agree.
matter what. Because believe it or not, when I was eating meat, I was anemic. When I
Mm-hmm.
used to eat meat, I was anemic, which means my iron was low, which means I wasn't getting enough iron.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been anemic since I've been plant-based.
Mm-hmm. I know a few people like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's weird.
Yeah, right? It's interesting. Well, this interview's been interesting. Thank you for coming on. I'm so
Yeah.
happy I finally got you on. And is there anything you think that we missed? Anything you want to share with the audience about anything at all, like your journey, raw or plant-based, or maybe any inspiration for somebody who wants to get healthier like you and they're just, struggling, going through a hard time, or anything that comes to mind? And also let everybody know where they can find you. And I'll link everything below for you in the description box.
Okay. I always like to say, if you have a desire to do something and you find that it's not working for you, just cold turkey do it, work your way up to it. Like I mentioned earlier, small, if you want to go just plant-based, or raw vegan, whatever it is, start small and work your way up so your body can get used to each level. That way you're more prone to stay doing it as opposed
Mhm.
to, oh, I'm going to go raw vegan overnight. And then you eat your raw foods and you're doing well, and then you go to a party on the weekend and you eat a vegan burger, french fries. Now you're beating yourself up.
Mhm.
Like you don't have to beat yourself up. Just, work your way up to that. Or have that burger if that's what you want. And then go back to raw the next day. Like just I always say there's no contract, you guys. We're doing this for ourselves. So if you choose to do something outside of what you have a goal to do, it's okay.
Mhm.
Just get back up to whatever you want to do the next day or that same day. There's no failure. There's no cheating. There's no I messed up, I fell off the wagon. It's just you made a decision to do something, but if that wasn't what you really wanted to do, just get back to whatever you want to do and you'll
Mhm.
be okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think that's
you know.
important. Yeah, absolutely. And where can everybody find you?
Oh yeah, so I'm on Instagram at plant-based Nicole R'Shae. I'm also on YouTube at Nicole R'Shae. I don't even claim TikTok anymore. I have an account, but I don't post on there. TikTok is whack. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
don't do TikTok either. I can't. Yeah.
Yeah, so plant-based, so Instagram and YouTube are where I'm at. And yeah, you guys, if you like the kind of content I deliver, please follow and subscribe. I would love the support.
Yeah, no, you're amazing. Go follow Nicole. Her account, the things she posts, so inspiring and just so fun, energetic, and inspiring and amazing. So I'll put all the links below and be sure to subscribe to this channel as well. I hope this interview inspired you to eat more whole foods, whether they're raw or cooked. And I love you guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.